Hey guys, Eric Martel here. This video is part of a 6-video series based on a presentation I did at a real estate conference in Los Angeles in 2022. Make sure you watch the whole series. There's a lot of information in there. So what does turnkey mean? So it means it's done for you. So we've already identified cash flowing markets. So we already have our criteria about landlord friendly, business diversification, make sure that there's low unemployment, low crimes in the area that we're looking for, some of the neighborhoods that we identify. We talked about good schools. The schools will also help with kind of low crime. We're looking at B and C class neighborhood. It's basically a workforce housing kind of situation. Also, as we're heading more and more into a recession and high inflation, is going to also kind of like improve the situation for Class B, because typically in recession, what happens is that the luxury and Class A kind of market, they kind of goes down a little bit, and then it pushes the B and C class a little bit more. We already acquired the distressed property. We're managing the renovations. We're finding the tenant. We're assigning the property manager to you. So all of that is done for you, right? And we're simplifying the buying process. So we're basically saying, okay, here's a lender, here's the insurance company, here's the property manager, and there you go, you get started. The markets that we're in, Memphis, Cleveland, Detroit, and St. Louis. We're actually in a few other cities also around Ohio. We're also in Gary, Indiana. And then if you look at my website, there's a number of other cities that would work well for cash flowing rentals. And basically, most of those are located in the Midwest. So they're not on the coasts. For some reason, a lot of people that have a lot of money, they like to overpay for things. They're on the coast. I don't know why. But Midwest, great, So great for these cash flowing. So we're there with a number of other areas as well. But, if you look at our website, you can see where these areas are. Typical property. So I should have prepared you. I should have done the drum roll and ask you, how much do you think a single family rental costs? This is the price of the property, and then you have the square footage and stuff like that. And then there's different cities have different things, but the initial investment is really the down payment and closing costs. That's the big difference here. The advantage of the low price also is that then you can buy multiple properties, right? So you minimize your risk. So I'd rather have 20 properties than one house that's $2.4 million that I rent for $6,000 a year that's losing money every year. When you go on the website and stuff like that, you can see the details here, but $122, the down payment, and you can see that the current rent is $1,200. If any of you have heard of the 1% rule, yeah? So this is kind of like a basic rule of thumb that is used if you're looking at a ton of properties and you want to know if there's a chance it's going to cash flow, is that you look at that. You look at the market rent for that property, and you divide it by the purchase price of the property. If that's it's close to 1%, between 0.8 and 1.2, then there's a good chance. Then you can look at the details of that property and say, hey, you know what, I want to look at it a little bit more. And then you do the breakdown here on the right-hand side and see if it really cash flows. Yeah. And I stopped at 1.2 because when you look at it, when you look online and you download like data and stuff like that, you can actually find like more than 1.2. That means that the rent is significantly higher than the purchase price. I stay away from those because typically there's something wrong with the property. It's a high crime area or whatever, and so I avoid those ones. But 1.2 to 0.8, I think is going to put you in a good spot. And then you start looking at the breakdown. So this particular property, so rental income $1,200, property taxes $171, insurance, and the property management. So property management is key, is very important. This is when I bought my 8-unit apartment building, that's at 18. Yeah. That was the one mistake that I made that really kind of like soured the deal for me. But because I ended up like being a plumber one weekend, and I'm not very good with my hands. So it was not the nicest thing. So I wish I had the property management. The other advantage of property management is that you can focus on managing your portfolio, growing your business, analyzing more houses. figuring out all kinds of, there's a lot of other things to figure out to grow your business, to grow your portfolio. Hire property management, having to deal with all the problems. And they become your partner also in identifying potentially other deals, also helping you select a different area maybe that you might be interested in investing as you grow your career or your path in real estate investing. So well worth the money. Imagine, you're paying somebody $120 a month to deal with a tenant, to get the calls, get the toilet fixed, all of that, right? I mean, it's nothing. Then NOI, so net operating income, right? So it's basically the operating income without anything about the debt. So you basically exclude the debt before we start talking about the debt. And this is used also for the cap rate calculation. So if you look at the NOI divided by the value of the property, multiplied by 12, it's going to give you the cap rate. And this is basically what is the rate of return of that property if I paid it cash, right? So this is kind of like the definition. And the cap rate here for this property is 8%. And then after that, you pay the debt service. Debt service is mortgage, principal, and interest. And you're left with the net cash flow. So this is money that is basically coming into your bank account at the end of the month. After that, I mean, that doesn't mean you can just go on a trip right away, right? So don't get too excited. Take a little bit aside for the things that could happen, right? So I would put like 5% of the gross rent for vacancy. I was close, right? Come on. 5% for vacancy, 5% for maintenance, right? So this is money that's set aside that you reserve for that. The rest of it, then you can decide how you want to do it. If you want to go, if you want to put it down to pay down your principal on your loan or something like that, then you can do that, or just increase your reserve. So there's all kinds of different ways you can do that. Right now, what we're seeing also is that some lenders are requiring that you put in escrow property insurance and taxes. So that means a little bit more in the upfront cost, where you have to put more money down. But that money, basically, your cash flow then goes up. Instead of being $218, goes to $400 in this case, right? So you don't have to pay the insurance and taxes. So they just want you, for their security in this kind of economy, what's going on. They're afraid that something is going to go on. So that's why some of the lenders that we're dealing with, they require you to put that up front. Your cash flow is going to be better. Our differentiator with Martel Turnkey is that cash flowing from day one. So that means that when you buy the property from us, it is cash flowing from day one, meaning there's a tenant in place. There's no surprises that, I bought the house and then, I still don't have a tenant 2 months later, and I keep reducing the rent and until I find someone. So here, when you get the property, it's cash flowing from day one. There's a tenant in place and you know what the rent is and you know all of that. Never overpay. We do appraisal matching. So that house that I showed you, you buy the house for $122,000. You go to your lender, you do the appraisal, they say, hey, it's worth only $120, right? Then we're going to reduce the price to match that. You should be like, what? This is crazy. But we do that to a certain point. If it comes out at 60, we'll think about it. But normally we're very close. We're the expert in the market, right? So we know what the prices should be, and then that's why we can guarantee that. And then we're using third-party property management company because they're the expert. So we use them as experts. They have much more experience in these markets and they deal with all of that. And we don't want to deal with that.